Today's episode of the Get Paid for Your Pad podcast is brought to you by Hostfully, the market leader in digital guidebooks for short-term rental hosts. With Hostfully, you can create a beautiful online guidebook that you can send to your guests so they have a better experience and you get fewer questions. Sign up now at hostfully.com to get 2 months for free by using code PAD. That's P-A-D.
Welcome to Get Paid for Your Pad, the definitive show on Airbnb hosting, featuring the best advice on how to maximize profits from your Airbnb listing, as well as real-life experiences from Airbnb hosts all over the world. Welcome.
Get paid for your pad. Get paid for your pad. Get paid for your pad.
Welcome to episode number 443 of Get Paid for Your Pad. We are your hosts, Jasper Rivers and Eric Muller, and today we are talking about the takeaways and learning lessons from the Legends X class. Eric, what's up?
Well, what's up, man? How you doing, buddy?
Are you freezing out there in California?
Yeah, man. We were just chatting about that, how like this is the first time since I've lived here where we've had like a winter storm come through San Diego. So yeah, I'm freezing my butt off right now. It's I don't even know what it is. It's hilarious because I know back in my home state in New Jersey, you know, it's really cold, snow and wind and all of that. But yeah, it's chilly in Overnight Success headquarters right now.
Well, it's not chilly where I am. I'm sweating my I don't know if I can say that on the podcast, but sweating my butt off here in Mexico. I'm in Sayulita, a little surf resort, which seems to be there's so much construction down here. It's a small surf town on the Pacific coast in Mexico. But yeah, I just see a lot of buildings being constructed. I think in 10, 15 years from now, this is going to be a pretty popular spot.
Nice, man.
So I went through the takeaways and learning lessons from Legends X from our last class. We give out a feedback form to get some thoughts from our students on what they thought was the most valuable part of the course. And it's really interesting to see that the feedback that we got from our second class was very, very similar to the feedback that we got from the first class. Yeah. And there was really 4 things that stood out. Number 1 was the playbook. Number 2 are customized systems that we provide. Number 3, the host vision map. And number 4, our tech stack. So I wanted to walk people through what those are exactly, because it's really interesting that our students are consistently telling us that these are the most valuable parts. So let's start with the playbook. Now you introduced this in our company. So what exactly is the playbook?
Yeah. So the playbook, it's an index for all of your documents and systems within a company, right? So I remember the early stages when I was growing my Hometel, which was the short-term rental company I was growing back in the day. And then when we started Overnight Success, we had so much stuff, like everything. I got into the whole system mindset of like, if I'm doing anything more than once, I'm going to build a system around it, right? A document, spreadsheet, videos, all that stuff. But then the biggest challenge becomes like, where do you store it? How do you find it? Before you know it, your Google Drive folder, or if you use Dropbox, becomes absolute mess, right? Trying to find that stuff. So the playbook was introduced to me by a good friend of mine, Dan, who has built multiple different SaaS companies, like technology companies, and have sold companies, all of that, for millions and millions of dollars. And about 6 years ago, I asked him, like, dude, how do you keep track of all these systems? Because he was the same way. He's like, everybody on his team had the culture of, if you do anything more than once, you create a system around it. And I'm like, okay, I get that, but how the hell do you keep track of all of this stuff? It's a freaking mess. So he introduced me to the playbook. And essentially the playbook is, the way that he explained it to me, and the best way I like to explain it to people is American football, right? American football, there's different plays that the team needs to understand, right? There's so many people on the field. Everyone has their own position. Everyone brings a certain type of value to the team. And then there's different plays to get the ball over the goal line, or as close as possible to the goal line, or prevent it from going over the goal line if you're in defense, right? Everybody needs to work at the same time, but we're all going for the same result, right? So there's different plays. So American football teams literally have a playbook that their team needs to understand like what everyone is doing on the team. And like, if we're running this play, where do I need to be? What do I need to do? And how do we accomplish this mission? It's the same exact thing towards the business. It's a playbook for the entire company. So for everything that we do in the company, we have a play. So a system is a play, right? And those systems we fill it with as much detail and links and system, everything that you need to know for any team member that goes through the playbook. They can understand how we run our podcast, how we record the podcast, how we edit the podcast, how do we, manage customer service, right? Something came up for us yesterday in Strawberry Creek Village, right? In Idlewild. We had a guest who didn't check out in time. He brought 2 cats without telling us about it, left the property a mess, all this stuff. And then we recognize that there's a pattern with the way that he was messaging us, and his profile was new. There was no reviews, all this stuff. So all those items, we're going to take that and create a system and a play around, like, if this happens, we're going to do this, right? That's one system. Those are recorded in what's called the playbook. And the playbook is essentially how you make decisions, how your company operates. And the whole concept behind it is, one is you can go to one central source to find every single document, system, and play in your business. Number 2, there's a process for every team member and yourself to where if anything you do more than once, you have a process to record it, and then you have a place to store it, and you know where to find it. Number 3 is, if you hire a new team member, all you have to do is pass them the playbook and say, this is how we run our business, right? This is everything you need to know about our company. And then number 4 is, if you ever go to sell your company, you have something tangible to say, this is how we run our business. This is what's valuable. This is how we run it. This is what you're buying. This is how you maintain the business, right? It's a very simple document, but it's also extremely valuable. And I don't know how many versions we're on now within our company. We're probably on version 5 of our playbook. And now Aaron, our head of operations, is going in and going to start building version 6 of it. So yeah, the playbook is super powerful. And that's the very first thing that we introduce to our students, right? Is like, we have to teach you how to build SOPs and systems. Number 2, let's introduce you to our playbook. Number 3 is, let's give you the systems that we actually have to run our short-term rental business. This is how you do it. And it's that simple. People just pick it up and run with it.
And it's interesting because when you start a business and you're on your own, like, you can still remember, where you have like your first documents, and so you don't feel like there's a need to have something like this until you start growing. Well, first of all, as you start growing, you're building more and more systems, right? Like, we probably have like 500 documents in there now. There's no way you can remember where you store all these documents, right? So, but then especially, as you mentioned, when you start growing your team, like, we have, how many team members do we have? 7, 8 team members or something now?
Yeah, around there.
Yeah. So, there's no way for people to be able to find information if there's no playbook, right?
Yep.
So it really becomes like a necessity as you start growing your business. It's a simple thing, the playbook, but it's also very hard to build it yourself. Mm-hmm. I think, you know what I mean? Because like, you have to really think like, well, how do I organize all these documents? You know what I mean? Like, do I just make a giant list, or do I put them in different categories? And there's a lot of thinking that goes behind it.
Yeah. And let's give some more context to it as well. It's the playbook is also broken down into a handful of different sections. So we have references, we have systems, we have templates, then we have a knowledge section, and then we have a culture section for our team and company. And depending on what you're building and the use of it and who's going to be using it, that's where those systems fall into those sections, right? So it's really powerful, because then you can start looking at your systems a bit differently. And it's like, there's a certain way that we are building our customer service department. And there's a lot of different trainings, a lot of different systems, a lot of different references and templates, all this stuff. And now once we start building out our customer service team, like, that's something that we're doing for Q1, right? Is like, we're going to hire our first customer service VA for the new company, who's going to take over all the day-to-day communication. all the stuff that we're building now, this person will have the ability to go find the references and the systems, take it over. But then if he or she finds a way to build a new system or sees an opportunity to build a new system, they have templates to build it off of, right? So it starts growing. It's something that every company needs. This is why it's a big part of the operation pillar of Legends X. It's like, here's how you run your business. This is how you build it. And then we start growing it from there. So yeah, every aspect from, again, even the culture side, right? Like as we're building our core values and our vision and all of that, we're building that in the culture side of the playbook. So our new team members can jump in and see what the impulse of our company is, the pulse of our company is, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's interesting. Looking back, I really wonder how were you and I able to even, organize masterminds and, run programs without the playbook now, because it's become such a integral and essential part of our business, right? Now, hand in hand with the playbook are the systems. So as you mentioned, the playbook is where you have all your documents. We call those documents systems. We have references, we have systems and templates. But you could say like they're all systems or they're all plays or documents, whatever you want to call them. But we also recognize that a lot of people, first of all, most people don't enjoy building systems. Right. Most people are especially entrepreneurs who are in the mindset of let's get stuff done versus like, let's build a system. But secondly, there's an art to building a system, right? It's because there's a lot of different ways you could do it. And I feel like most people struggle with building systems, right? It's not boring. It's boring too, but it's not easy. It's not easy. No. Like I still struggle with this too. When Aaron puts a task in ClickUp for me to build a system, like it always takes me a while to understand like, okay, how do I build this system so when somebody else looks at it, it's going to make sense to that person.
Exactly.
Right? Because what makes sense to me often, like I feel like you and I have a bit of a different brain. Like what makes sense to me doesn't always make sense to you, and
for sure,
and vice versa. So it's different. Yeah, it's not super fun to build systems, and it's challenging, right? That's a big reason why what we notice is with hectic hosts, they typically don't have systems because it's not fun. They don't have a lot of time, and then also it's challenging, right? It's very challenging.
And I think we've spoken about this in the past, but I remember when I was first building my short-term rental business, I was by myself. I was a typical hectic host. I had no real team members, cleaners, but nobody really supporting me, a VA, but wasn't really sure how to manage the VA. And I remember saying like, I have to build these systems. And the moment I decide like, oh, I got to create this, or I got to hire this person, I then my brain just gives me a whole laundry list of things that I have to do and create and have in place to do this one thing. And then I don't take any action, right? It's paralysis by analysis, right? This gets that out of the way. Like creating systems it is boring, but the moment, and they're not fun, but the moment that you do create it, what's exciting about it is every system you build is more time that you're getting back out of your business. So we preach this all the time in Legends X. It's like the whole purpose of the Legends X, that at the end of it is to be able to put you in a position where you can work on your business more than you're working in your business. Because if you can work on your business, then your business is not reliant upon you, right? That's where when we're in the hectic host spot, it's reliant upon us to make the money, do all the things. But the moment that we could develop systems and hire the right people, then we can start working on the business, making decisions, hiring new team members, going into new locations, sales, stuff like that. Then the business is not relying upon you, right? And I remember one of our students, when I told her, she was at the point where she needed every single month, she was building a short-term rental management company. Every single month she was doing owner statements that would take her like 2 weeks to do. So like 2 weeks out of her month, every single month she's doing owner statements. It blew my freaking mind that half her time is in these stupid owner statements. They're important, but it's like, that's not the most valuable time the CEO or the owner of the company needs to be. I'm like, we got to hire a bookkeeper. And we got to build a system around what you're doing. And the moment I said, okay, go hire the bookkeeper, she came back to me the next day with an entire list of like, oh, then I got to create this. I got to do 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 this. So let me just continue to do, it's just easier for me to continue to do the owner statements, right? That's the mentality that we got to break as Hectic hosts. Like, if you're in that mindset of like, oh, I have to do it. And for me to get out of this, there's so much I got to do to hire this bookkeeper or whatever it is. It's just like take action on it and then start building and recording systems around what you're doing. And really all it is a 30,000 foot view of every step that you're taking to say, create owner statements, right? A bookkeeper and a VA can create all the owner statements for you. Right. And you can go from a week or two of manual labor of creating that into a couple of hours per month of reviewing the owner statements. Right. That's the goal. And now you just got your time back. And with all that time, now you're putting it into generate income generating tasks. So yeah, systems aren't fun, but as we preach in Legends X, systems are sexy. They give us our time back. Plus, we just hired a new team member who starts today, actually, which is really awesome. And I'm super confident on onboarding him into our company. Like he's going to know how we operate, where we store all of our information. We're going to train him on the playbook. We're going to train him on how to talk to our clients. And then we're going to train him on his job. And he's going to be up and running in a week, which is incredible.
Yeah. And that's without us having to spend a lot of time explaining things and getting them calls to, do trainings and stuff. It's all automated in ClickUp with pre-recorded videos and all of that.
Yeah. So anyone who's listening to this, who's like just getting started in the Airbnb space and you're building the business, you got a couple of listings, you're growing it. It's like from day one, just start recording what you're doing. Loom videos, start jotting it down in a location where no matter what you do, if you do it more than once, there's a system, there's documentation around it. It does not need to be perfect. We're not looking for perfect systems here. We're looking for a system that someone can follow. And then with time, you're dialing these in, you're getting them to a better position. They'll never be perfect. A system's never perfect, but yeah, anything that you do more than once, start documenting on it. And then lastly on that too, is like for anyone who wants to go deeper into it, some good books around that is, The E-Myth is a really good book that talks about all this. So
another one that we haven't read that I think you and I should read is called Clockwork.
I read Clockwork. Yeah. Clockwork is solid. Yeah. Yeah. Really good book. Yeah. Dude, there's so many books out there around this. And the reason why there's so many books around how to get your time out of your business is most entrepreneurs, that's their number one thing that they struggle with. And no matter where you go in business, you're always going to be chasing that. It's like business is just a series of solving problems for people, right? That's all business is. It's like, how do we bring value to somebody who has a need? In our industry, we're solving the problem of delivering world-class 5-star experiences one night at a time, right? And there's a lot to do to deliver that. But the reason why there's so many books like Clockwork and Scaling Up and E-Myth and Traction and all of that is because that is always the number one problem that business owners are trying to figure out is how do I get myself out of the business, right? Yeah. And now you and I are starting to experience something in business that we haven't experienced yet in overnight success with the growth that we've had this year. So where it's like, oh, we got out of these lower level things, but now we're spending a lot of time in these things. Now, how do we get ourselves out of this position, right? And we're just always going to be chasing that till we get to a point where we build a company as a machine. Like, how do we build our company as a machine?
A lot of value that our students are getting from Legends X is we've actually gone ahead and built some of these systems that we already know that our students need, right? Because every short-term rental business is different, but we all need a guest communication system. We all need a cleaning and maintenance system, right? We all need a property onboarding system. We all need a hiring system. So we've actually gone ahead and built out. We hired somebody and worked with that person to really, like a systems expert, to really like combine our knowledge and what we already had and build these customized systems that our students can then literally just copy paste, put in their playbook. And that's why I think a lot of the value in the program comes from.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man. Yeah. And these are real systems. These aren't like templates that, you can just download and like it's 1 or 2 pages. These are full on training system, full on SOPs that, a big part of the operation pillar of Legends X is training them on, yes, the playbook and how to create SOPs. But now here's our guest communication system that comes with all of these systems, all of these references and templates, and these training videos. So yeah, it's important. It's like every company has the same type of challenges in our industry. We all need those basic systems. So that's why we took that. And now we're also implementing those at a high level in our company again, and fine tuning those as we scale our business models. So these things are always growing, always evolving, which is super exciting.
They're like living creatures.
Mm-hmm.
Due to COVID, it's now more important than ever that your guests actually read your house rules and check-in instructions. And there's no better way to deliver that information than by using an online Hostfully guidebook. You can build your guidebook in just a few hours and simply include a link to your guidebook in your welcome email. Your guests can access it on desktop, on mobile, and they can even print it out. Now, as a result, you look super professional. Your guests have a better experience as they don't have to read through endless paragraphs of text. Instead, they can go through a nice looking guidebook with lots of visuals. That means fewer questions for you, more time for you to focus on other areas of your hosting business. Sign up now at hostfully.com and use code PAD to get your first 2 months for free. That's hostfully.com, HOSTFULLY.com, code PAD, which is PAD.
All right, so we talked about the playbook. We talked about the systems. The third most valuable thing, according to our students in Legends X, is the host vision map. I feel like that's another thing that a lot of hosts, especially the hectic hosts, kind of overlook. Is they go straight into like onboarding properties and trying to get more properties, and they don't take the time to really think about like, what do I actually want to build? Who do I want to serve? Who's my guest avatar? Which owners, like what property owners do I want to work with? What business model do I choose? What market am I going after? And that's essentially what the host vision map is, to map all those things out.
Yep. It's simple. It's simple, but it's the most powerful thing. It's like, to grow a business, you have to have a very clear vision on what you're building, right? And it might not be clear in the beginning, but you need something to keep you on track. In the host vision map, like we clarify that, right? It's like one big problem that we see with hectic hosts is that they take on any type of listing. If they're in the management model, they're managing all different types of properties with all different types of owners, different locations, from studio apartments to tree houses to luxury homes. Like there's no business model, right? Just because you're managing short-term rentals, that's not the business model. What we have to do is we have to niche it down and say, okay, we specialize in managing 1-bedroom cabins in this marketplace for couples traveling from this location, right? Like that's a business model. That's what you're going to stick out with. And once you get clear on that, now we can make decisions on what properties we're saying yes to, what owners we're working with, what properties we're trying to buy. Like whatever your model outside of that, we have a very specific vision of what we're building. So that's something that it took me many years to build that for my company, the management company that I built. And now we're doing the same thing for FreeWild. We're going through the process of building that for FreeWild, and getting clear on the host vision map is now helping us make decisions on what markets we're going into, how we're raising money, right? Because we can literally pass this host vision map off to our investors, potential investors. It's helping us decide what team members to hire. It's helping us decide what type of brand to develop with this. So we're going to take that and pass it off to our branding agency, who's going to create the FreeWild brand as a whole that can talk direct to our ideal avatar. So I'm happy that students are finding the value in that. But it's funny, man, because I know that's like the number, that's like the most challenging part of the program, right? Is people getting clear on their vision.
Yeah, and a lot of students also mentioned that it's kind of the thing that they need, but they didn't know that they needed it.
Yeah.
So that's a comment that we get quite a lot from students. Is I think they understand that they need systems and they understand that they need to get more properties to grow, right? And they need to have a marketing strategy, but oftentimes they're not aware that there's a step that comes before that, right? And that's why we start the program with the host vision map.
Right. Yeah. It's super important. This is a perfect time to do it, right? We're doing this for our team. We're doing this for our Rising Star Mastermind right now, where we're going through vision setting. We gotta get super clear on what we're building and where we're leading, because building a business is not easy. And if we don't have that North Star of what we're going for, if we're not being drawn to that North Star, we're going to get very distracted with the day to day. And before we know it, we have a business or a job that we're not enjoying. So when those challenges come up, you need to be super, super clear on who you're working with, what properties you're getting, where you're going, what's the ultimate vision, what you're building. So yeah, I mean, I'm super happy people are really our students are really enjoying that, because it's one of the most powerful things we can do.
Yeah, and it's also something. Again, it's like a dynamic thing, right? It's not a static. It's not a thing that you built one time and then you never touch it again. It's something that every quarter you revisit. You revisit your goals, you revisit all of your guest avatar, your partner avatar, all those things, because you want to make sure that you're still aligned with it, right? Also, your core values are in there as well, which are really important as well.
Yep.
The fourth most valuable in Legends X, according to our students, is the tech stack. So our tech stack is for who's listening, if you're not familiar with the Legends X tech stack, is essentially what we have done is we recognize that there's so many different tools out there, and people tend to get really overwhelmed trying to figure out like what technology do I need at what stage in the business. What type of technology do I need? And then what tool am I actually going to sign up for? Because there's just so many of them. So what we've done is we really looked at like, okay, what does somebody need in order to grow, beyond like 25, 50 units, to grow to Legends status? And which are the companies that you can actually grow with, right? That you can actually get to that level. And we've selected a number of companies, Hostly, for example, Wheelhouse, and we're using those tools in our own business as well. And so we created that tech stack for our students, but also we have trainings around how to use these tools as well.
Yeah. I mean, again, one of the biggest challenges, we see it all the time, is like there's so many choices out there for PMS, property management software and pricing and all this other stuff. And that's one thing that I'm super proud of this program, is like us taking the time to study all of these companies. And I've used quite a bit of them in my business over the years, and we've seen them all. We talked to all the companies. We have clients that have used all of these different types of companies. And yeah, the Legends X tech stack is a series of companies that work together. So they all have APIs that work together. So it's like one big tool that runs your entire short-term rental company. And the best thing about it is like you can scale beyond 100 units without ever having to change any of your technology ever again, which is incredible. I can't tell you how many people I've seen just like they onboard with this PMS and then they see a new ad for the new one and they jump over to there, and somebody else said that this is the best pricing tool, so they jump over to that pricing tool. It's like you got to be willing to roll the dice with these companies, choose the tech stack that you want to use, and then commit to 6 to 12 months of working with these companies. It takes time to implement systems. It takes time to implement technology and really understand it, really get it built in and understand all the tweaks. Like people expect a quick solution. They want a pill, right, to solve the problem immediately. And, there's no one-stop shop for anything in this industry. We have to work with multiple different companies that are willing to work with each other, that can serve us the biggest value. So we found that this tech stack, especially in the United States, is by far the best. We're currently using them, obviously, for our business. We have no, plans on moving away from these companies at all. And I think in the next class too, we're going to be adding in an additional company to our tech stack as well to kind of make it a bit more filling the gaps here and there. But yeah, for anybody who's listening, it's like if you guys are onboarding new technology into your company, Obviously, Legends X Tech Stack, we have partnerships with them. We understand these companies. They understand our clients. They solve the biggest needs. We believe in these companies that you can grow with. But regardless if you use our Legends X Tech Stack or you use whatever other company, just commit to using them for a long period, 6 to 12 months, to truly understand every aspect of their tech before you jump to the next shiny object.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, that's the biggest mistake I see people make is they sign up with a technology tool and they find one thing that they don't like, and then they switch to something else. Or they see, like you mentioned, like they see there's another tool that has some type of functionality that the tool that they're currently using doesn't have, and then they switch again, right? So 100% agree. Do some research, but then really stick with what you choose, at least for a while. The challenge is as well is that like these companies are constantly evolving. Yep. Right. So there's constantly new tools coming in the market. And, when you see something new, I think there's always some sort of attraction to it because it's kind of exciting, something new. And that's the temptation that we got to resist.
Yeah, man. It's, like outside the short-term rental industry, when it comes to like project management tools, there's so many that are popping up. And I remember I see it happen all the time, like where you start using the tool and you notice that it does like 80% of what you want, but that 20% really is like the pain point for you. And then a new tool pops up and you're like, oh, this thing can solve that 20%. Right. But then when you get into there, that solves 80%, but then there's an additional 20% that you didn't know that this tool doesn't solve. Right. So it's like technology is, well, let's talk about this real quick, man. Like, because you're the one who really decided on the tech stack, and there was a couple of factors on why you chose these companies outside of what we just talked about. But like, what makes a good tech company, a good technology outside of the features? Like, what makes a good technology to choose to like, okay, I'm going all in on this company?
I think most people just look at the features, but I think you got to look at some other stuff. Like number one, the team. Yep. Right? Because what if this company goes out of business a year from now? Like it's so much work to sign up with a new PMS, for example, especially the PMS, right? Yeah. That's the biggest part, the most important technology in your business. So I think you got to look at the team. Like, is this a solid team? Like, do you believe in this team? And you got to look at how they've been evolving, right? Like one thing that I really like about Hostly, the PMS that we work with, is that they're constantly evolving. Right? Number two is the integrations. I think it's better to have a PMS that integrates with other tools than the PMS that's trying to do everything. Because they can't be really good at everything, right?
Dude, that's a really good thing that you just brought up. When we were down in San Antonio, I'm not going to mention who was there, but we had a couple of like big names in the industry at the bar, and we were just talking about the industry as a whole. And someone brought up how like the next most exciting thing in the industry is the one-stop shop PMS that does everything, right? This new PMS that can do pricing for you and can do guest messaging and can do channel management and all these things. And that the next most exciting thing is the one-stop shop tool, right? And immediately the second I heard that, and this is what we talk about in Legends X, right? The second I heard that, I'm like generalist, right? Like it's very difficult to create a world-class one-stop shop tool that does everything. That's why I stay away from those tools. I want you to be an expert at one thing, right? And we were there with a couple of CEOs of some of the PMS, like bigger PMSs in our industry. And that was the exact feedback that they gave. It's like, we don't want to go down that path. We know what we specialize in, and we want to be the best at this one thing. And then we want to give you the option to work with the other best companies that are the best in their field, right? So that's what we teach, right? When you're hiring, building a team, stay away from generalists and hire snipers. Hire people that are extremely talented in their one thing and do everything possible to keep them in their lane. Right. Yeah. So I'm very weary of the one-stop shop. We're going to fix everything and be the best at everything, because most likely they're not going to be.
No, I agree. You can't be an expert at everything. And there's so many different things. There's so many different technologies in our space, right? That you can't expect one company to be good at all of that. So I'd rather go for an option where you make the connections with the other tools really easy.
Exactly.
right? So with Hostly, for example, we connected Wheelhouse, right? Our pricing, that was like one push of a button. It took me like less than a minute, right, to connect those tools.
Yeah.
And the same with Breezeway, right? It's like Hostly does have some cleaning management functionality, right? That if you're a smaller player, then it might work for you. But we're connecting to Breezeway now, right? Because Breezeway fully focuses on the cleaning and maintenance management. So they have way more functionality. So yeah, so that's I think those are the biggest thing, man. It's like look at the team, like the Breezeway team. In my opinion, like if you look at who's behind Breezeway, like they're super experienced, like they've been in the industry for a long time, So I think that's important. And then, like I mentioned, especially for the PMS, is like what integrations do they have? So that's kind of how we selected our companies in our tech stack. So
yeah, awesome, man. Yeah, last thing on that too is like I was talking to another company that solves a very specific problem in the industry, and when I told them about our tech stack, they're like, "Oh, we work with all of those companies. That'd be great to work with you guys because we can help your students solve this problem because it's very easy to plug into everyone else's platform, right?" Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think so to summarize that is like, who's the team behind the tech? Are they well funded and are they growing their tool and their team constantly? And then 3 is, what are their APIs? Can they easily connect to the other tools that you want to use?
Yeah, 100%. Awesome, dude. Well, so these, just to summarize, those are the 4 things that were rated as most valuable by our Legends X students. We've gone for 2 classes now, so almost 100 students. It's the Playbook, the systems, the host vision map, and the tech stack. So
that's right, man.
Solid, I would say.
Dude, super excited for the new year. This year was unbelievable. I know we haven't closed it out, and we went through our project list for what we have for the rest of the year, and it's kind of crazy what we have going on. But 2021 was such a powerful year for the industry, for Overnight Success, for Legends X. So I'm excited to do our podcast somewhere we update everybody on what we're doing for next year, because we got some powerful things coming in the pipeline for Overnight Success. For Free Wild, we're hiring people. We need help. We're going to be raising money. We're going to be buying real estate. We're going to be launching products. It's crazy, man. It's crazy that we're in this position right now.
Yeah, for sure. And I was just about to say that I'm excited for next week. Next week, we're going to talk about our plans for 2022. And then the week after, we're going to do a recap of 2021 on the podcast. So
love it.
I'm looking forward to those podcasts. Those are going to be fun. So if you're listening to this, make sure you subscribe to the podcast and leave us a review. A lot of you guys have been leaving us reviews. Our audience is growing really fast, which is awesome. So that really helps us, help more people to build amazing hospitality companies in our space, and that's what the world needs. We need to connect people through hospitality, amazing world-class hospitality experiences.
That's right. Yeah, appreciate all the support, guys. Thank you for those reviews. And until next time,
that's
keep it
right.
solid, y'all.
All right. Until next time, people.
Get paid for your pad. 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 Get paid for your pad.
If you have over 30 units, you have an annual revenue of over $2 million, or you operate boutique hotels, then the STR Legend Mastermind is for you. You are not alone. We have a group of over 30 high-level entrepreneurs in our mastermind, and we get together on a weekly basis to discuss our biggest challenges and to learn and to grow together. Go to strlegends.com to find out more information and apply for the Legends Mastermind if you think you are a good fit.